Okay, so I am recording this just because I am very much like channeling our new moon energy reading, but I do have a pretty busy day ahead of me. I'm on the road right now towards DC, so I'm not really sure when. I might have some time until like much later to record this, so I kind of just want to get my thoughts out now. Depending on how it goes, I may re-record this, and depending on how the audio sounds as well. But anyway, we are going into our final new moon of the year. And it's very exciting because it's very much influential about our upcoming new year. And the energy that I'm feeling into, the things that I've been like seeing as far as symbols and numerology and all that, it's just very much beginning a new chapter. So 111 is definitely significant, as well as 555. So it's definitely signifying change and a new start. There's a chapter being started, right? Because I think as a collective, we've been seeing like a lot of 000s, which means like a clean slate and a new beginning in that sense. But 111 is about a decision being made, or basically setting intentions in general. And that's very much what this new moon is really all about. It's like getting very much intentional. So as a collective, we went through the 1212 portal, where we were really being actually asked to do a lot more release work. Yes, 37 just showed up. A lot of releasing what feels disharmonious, what doesn't feel right, what doesn't feel like it's really for our growth and for our best interest moving forward. And we were asked to make room to expand what things we wanted to see in our life actually grow and become fruitful and expand. So if you were listening along through the 1212 portal we went through in this month of December, you may have gotten some clarity around what that was, and hopefully you did some kind of practice or ritual or just clearing of some kind. And also, I did record the spirit loss retrieval reading. I'm not sure if I'm going to call it that. I'm not sure what I'm going to call it, but it's basically about calling your power back to you, and it's going to go up with this reading, so you'll see that like today. But yeah, you were getting really clear around what things no longer deserved your energy. Ooh, 1212 on that license plate. That's so interesting. Wow. Yeah. So really just going back to that time period and what you were setting intentions around, what you were making room for. I'm feeling like doors opening has been really prominent for the collective for months now. So we've been going through portal after portal sequentially, doing the inner work, taking that journey, and here we are getting ready to walk through yet again another one on January 1st, 1/1. This is really about your first chapter of 12 for the year 2026. So you definitely sort of were probably guided towards what that really needs to look like, and what things you're being asked to do to let go of. And there was a lot of symbols around letting go of some bad habits. This is usually around like vices, addictions, things that you're having trouble breaking, toxic situations, patterns, all of that. There's just a lot of emphasis on, letting go of things that are keeping you from being your best self, that like you have full control over and free will to handle, and we're going to get more into that shortly. But for now, let's just focus like on what we were talking about with sort of setting intentions, what you were setting intentions around, because the 12/12 portal was all about, okay, what seeds do you want planted to actually grow and take shape in this upcoming year? And we're about to start chapter 1 of seeing what's going to grow and seeing what's going to flourish. Now, there's a few things that were coming through. One of those things was, it really matters, and actually this is something that I heard that really stuck with me from the church service I listened to last Sunday, was like, it really matters what soil you're planting your seeds in, and not only that, how are you nurturing that soil? And what things do you have around you, and also who's helping you tend to your garden? So depending on who you have with you to nurture this soil, they're going to have different seeds that they're trying to see fruitful and grow as well. Where are they planting their seeds? If they're planting their seeds with you, that's going to change your garden. That's going to change what grows. And that's going to change, how abundant and what's prosperous and what becomes fertile and grows. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because this has a lot to do with like partnership and what comes with partnership. So like, you have to be able to trust that the person that you are tending your garden to is making good choices, right? And they have good intentions, and they are, envisioning an abundant and prosperous and fruitful garden along with you. Now, this is also really important because, like we were saying, 111, the energy here is very much about decisions and choices. This means that when you make the choice to tend to your garden with somebody, every choice that they make is going to affect you. It's going to affect your soil. It's going to affect your root. It's going to affect how things grow, what grows, all of it. So we're going to get more into like why this is so significant right now around this new moon. And I can actually tell you firsthand from my experiences last year, like, your choices are everything right now. And I think it's kind of like a cosmic divine timing joke, if you will, because Sagittarius comes in hot and heavy for us, especially this year. We had a lot of planetary placements in Sagittarius. Now listen, I am a Sagittarius. If those of you are listening are new here, if you're collective, just a reminder, your girl's a Sagittarius. And I'm actually very aware of some of the negative components that are represented by the Sagittarius. Things like escapism, avoidancy, recklessness, scandalousness, flirtatious, energy that can be a little bit troublesome. And those are all things that are usually represented by the Sagittarius archetype. So we had a lot of planets that were influenced by that kind of energy as we went through Sagittarius season. And we're about to have our new moon, the final new moon of the year, like I said, in the sign of Sagittarius. So even though those are some of the more unconscious, shadowy traits of the Sagittarius, and some of you might actually be sort of like recognizing where maybe you're a little bit guilty in this. You might be feeling like, okay, I'm a little bit reckless, impulsive. I might have been a little bit like boundaryless with certain things, etc., escapism. That's okay, because what's also true about Sagittarius is that it's very wise. And like a true conscious Sagittarius, when they're impulsive, it's not because they're making just crazy rash decisions. It's because they've lived a lot of life experience, because they've taken in a lot of information, insight, intuitive notions, and they're making decisions that feel purposeful and aligned. So I talked about this before the 12-12 portal, about how the Sagittarius is represented by the Archer, which has its bullseye, pulls its energy back, and then launches, takes aim, and goes for it. But there's a little bit more of a lesson to that, and that's the idea of trajectory. Excuse me, pardon me. I'm going to take a sip of water here real quick. When you are the Archer and you are launching yourself towards a goal or launching yourself towards a manifestation or whatever it is, you cannot just be reckless and impulsive with that decision. There has to be precision, aim, focus, but not only that, trajectory, which means you have to be thinking ahead. You have to be thinking about where you want your energy to actually go in the future, right? Because you're holding the bow, you're pulling back the bow, you're pulling in your energy, you're pulling back your resources, you're taking aim on where you want it to land. You have to be thinking forward thinking. You have to be thinking long term, the trajectory of where your energy is actually going to go and what it's going to do for you when you release that to the universe. So really quick, I want to also touch on the fact that Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary energy is very, very prominent for this collective. And I am getting a lot of indicators that you've been praying for something specific. You've been praying for help with something. You've been praying for, I feel like you had very specific, and I'm not just talking about recently. Let's really talk, because this is also what was coming through, is that just because things maybe have been going well currently, or just because maybe you got what you wanted recently, or a door opened for you, there's an indication here that Spirit is asking you, and this motherfucker can really hop off my dick, truly. Motherfucker. Okay, moving forward. There's an indication that, from Spirit, that's just asking you to really look at the full history of what you've gone through, what you've overcome, things you've accomplished, because this is significant. This is very significant. You are entering chapter 1 of 12 in this new year, and I'm feeling like you've been in a lot of positions in your life where you're like, do I have my cake or eat it too? I kind of want to have both. And, if you've been hanging out with me, collective, I'm actually typically the kind of person who would be like, I love that. Have your cake and eat it too. But now you're recognizing that when you have something really, truly worthwhile and delicious and succulent and rich and abundant in your life, it's a piece of cake. It should be a piece of cake. A piece of cake, and just one. You don't need to be gluttonous, greedy. You don't need to have the whole cake. And I think that was something that I needed to have come through for myself, collective, so I'm not trying to throw shade in any way. But there is this lack matrix energy that you may have been used to, where you want to have your cake and eat it too. But there is an evolution, a maturity that's taking place within you, where you're realizing that actually a piece of cake is a piece of cake. It's easy. It's delicious. It's all that I needed. Recognizing that you have everything that you need is really, really crucial for you. So when it comes to, I know this is kind of all over the place. Bear with me, my friends. When it comes to what you're looking towards with this next chapter, chapter 1 that we're about to step into, you want it to be a piece of cake. You've known dysregulation, you've known discomfort, you've known dis-ease and what that brings, and also just how unpleasant it is. And you're just not there anymore. Some of you, collective, this isn't going to resonate with everyone in the collective. I'm going to tell you that right now. Maybe you're listening for someone else, but those of you listening, some of this might not land for you, and that's okay. But like, for those who are meant to find this, and I trust that you are finding this in divine timing and hearing the things that needed to come through, you have known hardship, you know what you've been through, you are in a place where you're ready for that fresh start and new beginning, and that still doesn't mean that, like, you have to be in this space of, like, you're just done. You're done with the discomfort. 333 might have been significant around, like, this lesson for you and what you really are trying to do with this lesson for you. Pardon me again. But I just see that you're very much done. You're done with anything that's bringing you out of your peace, out of your comfort, out of it. You're done. This reading is hefty, so really bear with me. This is a boundary, it's a standard, it's something that you've learned and are very firm around, and it's for good reason, because of what you've gone through and because of what you've overcome. Now, this is because also what you've learned in specifically the last year, but even before that, is that you are divinely guided. You are on a divinely led path. You have been walking a divinely led path, and you have learned. 1010 is showing up for you, collective. You might be dealing with people who are in a 999 energy right now, like cutting cycles or ending cycles, but I'm going to be real with you. That's not you. You're done. You've been done. You're not in a space of repeating cycles. You may have even got a glimpse of it recently, and you tasted it, and 888, it was bitter, and you're not enjoying it, and you're like, nah. You're done with the cycles. You're done with the discomfort. You're done with the tiptoeing. Like, you're just really in a space where you know what peace and fun and real joy and real purpose looks like. You've been living it. You've been walking it, and there is nothing that will take you from that path now. For, like I said, for some of the collective, that might not really be landing because you might be in a place where you're still working towards that. Some of you might be like, okay, yes, I've been trying to break cycles. I'm trying to end things. I'm still kind of in this place of, like, that's okay. There might be two different, like, energies in this reading. So, when it comes to your peace and your comfort, you have to understand that it's okay and safe and actually very good for you to trust in your intuition. And for those of you who are on the ladder where you're like, I'm still trying to figure out how to break some of these cycles, some of these things I don't know what to do, I want to, like, you know, manifest, and I'm trying to let go of what I have to, you also need to trust your intuition. This message is the same for both of you. Like, both energies here in this collective, you're on the same parallel tracks is what I'm, like, hearing. Like, you're on parallel tracks. You both need to be in a space of trusting your intuition. And for this energy that I've been feeling into, where it's like you've been doing that. You are divinely led. You are trusting your intuition. It feels like you knew that the divine had been paving the way for you. You trusted in that, and you've been operating from that space. So you're like, why would I stop now? Like, doors were open, things have been like divinely orchestrated. Yes, 37 again. So it's giving this energy of like, you know, you understand like the worth and the value of like having a piece of cake when that piece of cake is like everything you've ever wanted. It's like being served up to you on a silver platter by the hand of the divine. It's like this beautiful, like, here you go, this is what you're asking for. And like some people stuck in that 999 energy at the moment may need to learn a few more things before they understand the worth of that single slice on that platter, because they're so used to having to go and like try to hoard a whole cake. You see what I'm saying? So that's their choice, right? And here's where choices comes into play. That's their choice. That does not mean that you have to stay in limbo, or you don't have to see the worth, or you have to diminish what you see on that silver platter because someone else can't see it. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm just gonna say it, it's like you can lead a horse to water. Like, that's the kind of energy. It's like your spirit's like, look, baby, like, you can lead a horse to water, but that doesn't mean they're gonna fucking drink. Like, that's all you can do. Like, you can offer somebody the most delicious, decadent, like, piece of cake that ever existed on a silver platter, but they just might not have that taste. You know, like, they might feel like they're getting more by having, like, the fucking Costco $20 sheet cake, you know? And that's because they are still learning what they need to learn and what they need to go through. Here's the thing, though, is that everyone's choices affects everyone. Butterfly effect. Ooh, yes, honey. Okay, butterfly, yes. Every choice and decision that we make has a ripple effect that stretches out beyond our, like, comprehension. Most of the time, it's like we can't even fathom what that actually looks like. But sometimes we can. And I'm getting, again, a lot of 13. This feels like there's definitely a divine feminine in the equation in this energy. This doesn't even feel like queen. This feels like high priestess energy. Like somebody who is very tapped in, somebody who is very in tune with their intuition, someone who is very much like their energy is really just unshakable. And this is not just like a happenstance. This is someone who has done the inner work to do so. This is the energy of somebody who will not freely, you know, step down and deduce themselves over nothing, okay? Like, truly. And this is somebody who also did the 12-12 energetic work, so they're only expanding, honey. They're only going to expand and glow brighter and get more and more magnificent and juicy because they're on a personal evolutional journey. So back to what I was saying. All of our choices impact one another. And I'm feeling like so many 37. Somebody's choices is going to be impactful. And the message that keeps coming through is live with their choices. You do not have to change your path. Ooh, I'm seeing your wishes, your 1111 wishes, what you were wishing for under the portal. Those things don't have to change. But some people may have to live with their choices. And not only that, some people have to live with the repercussions of their choices. It's really giving like you can lead a camel to water, okay? And at the end of the day, there's just this like really deep feeling about when people make choices that impact you, you also have to make choices for yourself. There is this energy here, and I'm feeling very much like this divine feminine energy of like making room and expansion. The seeds were planted, honey. The room is there. So it's either going to grow in this very like beautiful, intentional way, or something new is going to take shape there. Regardless, the space was made. You know, those seeds were planted. So I'm feeling like for a lot of the collective, there's this energy of like kind of not knowing what this first chapter is really going to look like. And this is why it's important to have a lot of intentionality and be very clear about the choices that you're making and the choices they make in the long term. And I cannot stress this enough, friends, because I really had to learn this last year. I really felt like I was on the money with that, but let me tell you, Sagittarius season comes in and it gets messy. It gets diluted, okay? There's some disillusionment we go through with just the natural cosmic order of things, and some of us get stuck in that escapism and illusion, and we don't get to really embrace the full next chapter for what it could be. 888, and I'm seeing 8 as like your infinite potential doesn't want that for you. There's this energy that comes with Sagittarius season around escapism. But not only that, it's just avoidancy, right? Like, let's call a spade a spade. It's not just you're trying to escape the situation or the current moment, but there's also this level of avoidancy of something that's probably much deeper, much like more under the surface. And I just want to say that this is the difference between the collective right here. I'm just going to keep it a buck, like I always do, friends. Those of you who are in the 10-10 energy where that cycle is completed, understand how to complete the cycle, right? You're not avoiding it. Those of you in the 999 energy with your cycle completion are probably still stuck dealing with a lot of escapism and avoidancy. Okay, and this is a very difficult mode to break out of. But your spirit team, 000s, they're saying that if you want this new beginning and you want this fresh start, your way of avoiding cycles is putting you right back into a larger cycle of avoidancy. You may think that you're avoiding something that feels cyclical or at the very least familiar, but what you're actually doing is avoiding an opportunity to break the cycles, to do things differently, to actually see something take shape and be fruitful. And for whatever reason, you know, this could be a self-sabotage thing, but there's this energy of like, if it's what you prayed for, you know, like, why? Okay, let me rephrase this. Sometimes the biggest blessings and the things that we pray for require us to face our biggest fears, our triggers, our past, our history, our problems, our addictions, because you want all those things you prayed for. If you want all of that with all your heart and might, why don't you have it yet? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be like cold or anything. But the reason you don't have it yet is because you are not yet the version of self that was able to manifest it and call it in and grow it to its full fruition and completion. But maybe you are now. It's still your dream. It's still your prayer. It's still your purpose. Why is that? Because it was always meant for you. It was always something that was going to be available for you, but you had to go on a journey of becoming the person who could actually have it, who could actually receive it, call it in, and co-create it in order for it to take shape. So with that being said, this chapter 1 not only feels like a new chapter for a beautiful portion of your life. What do we know about new beginnings, new chapters? There has to be a loss. This is just the same. I mean, and sometimes I feel like I'm like regurgitating it, but like some of these lessons, they just take a while to come through, and other lessons, they will just always be lessons we have to learn and have to see in our lives in new ways over and over and over again. So with that being said, pardon me, it's pretty dry in this car with the heat. With that being said, there is an energy of, and I'm sorry, this is a little bit heavy, but it doesn't need to be. And I think you hearing this and how you receive it is really going to be significant about where you are in this whole cycle breaking journey. When there's a new beginning, it means there's a loss. And right now, I'm not seeing you're going to have to lose money, opportunities. I don't see you having to lose anything in a great capacity in that way. What I do see is a loss of a version of who you used to be. This feels like a spiritual death or an ego death, if you will. Like a person you used to relate to being just doesn't feel like you anymore. And you are realizing that maybe there are some parts of yourself that you are going to have to leave behind, let go of, because they no longer relate to who you have to be, not only who you want to be, but who you have to be in order to see the things take shape and grow into fruition that you've been planting seeds on, that you've been doing the inner work around, you've been praying for quite some time now. And I mean quite some time. This is going to require you to have trust in yourself and in this process and in this journey. But here's the caveat. The trust that you're needing to have is showing up for you in a very spiritual and different way than what you are probably being met with in the 3D. Okay, again, this is going to show who is thinking in their 999 cycle and who is in their 1010 cycle. When it comes to trust, some of you are operating from the 3D. Oh, well, there's this, I have this looks like this, it's very tangible, like this, like, you know, here's what trust looks like. But what I see for the collective that I've really been doing most of this reading for is that it's more so a collective, or I'm sorry, yes, it's about the collective needing trust in their intuition. This isn't about the 3D. This isn't about the physical. This is about trusting in the divine connection that is being experienced right now. This is about trusting in I'm seeing the divine feminine, which, you know, inherently goes with intuition, dreams, you know, spiritual gifts, spiritual enlightenment. It's about, you know, connection and beautiful, groovy energy. Being in the flow with life, being in harmony, being in balance. staying open to creativity. There's like this beautiful divine feminine energetic healing at the underneath of all of this reading, this entire reading, for your entrance into chapter 1 of 12 for 2026. So you're thinking, for those of you who are in that space, you're like, this isn't about the 3D at all. This is about the fact that you know your path, that you know your purpose, and you have trusted your intuition this far. It's brought you to where you are. It's brought you to everything you have, and you are not going to budge on that now. And this is about really seeing, and it's not like a test, and not like a spiritual test or anything like that, but it's more so about the trust in the feminine, the trust in the spiritual component of what is being created and shown. Trust is being brought up of like, if you are not avoiding, you know, what you need to be drawing attention to and taking care of, what does the long term look like? You know, when you stop avoiding the things that you need to, or you stop trying to escape from certain issues or whatever, what does that life look like? And what choices do you need to make in order for that to happen? That's what's really going to set up your entire chapter 1 of this new year. This new moon is for you to say, okay, when I really actually trust my intuition and trust that I've been called to these things and trust that my spirit wants these things, trust in my purpose, what does that actually look like? And what choices am I making that will affect that? And this is just the cosmic, you know, theme for this time. And it's so relevant and it's so present and so real for me, friends. And I can only imagine how it is for my collective. So I'm hoping that this has been insightful for you. I do want to say, like, again, this new moon is the Archer's moon. This is the moon about really looking at where that arrow is going to land. You know, come again Sagittarius season. What is the trajectory, the long term, when you're really thinking about all the things combined and the choices you're making for the year ahead? This is a powerful new moon to not go through the impulsive, reckless, escapism, avoidancy path that you've been down before. This is a new moon about channeling your inner wisdom, connecting with everything from your history, from your experiences, right, from your journey, and realizing that avoiding cycles is how you end up in a whole new cycle of avoidancy. And that the only way to break cycles is, the only way out is through. You go through them and you show yourself that you have become that ascended version of yourself, that more enlightened version of yourself, that wiser, more experienced, you know, self, that you forgive yourself enough to go for what you really want, even though it's scary, even though you're afraid it could go the way that it's gone in the past, and trust that this time you're going into it with, you know, your spirit team behind you nonetheless, but you're also going into it with everything you need in order to be fruitful and abundant. And recognizing that when you trust your intuition on that, that does affect other people. It will have an influence and make an impact on the world around you. You can't avoid that either. You can't just, again, this like have my cake and eat it too. Like I can do everything that I want and I can make any kind of choice, and karma literally on the license plate that just drove by me. Wow, somebody needed to hear that. Your actions will cause and effect, the law of causality. Your actions will directly have an effect and definitely make an impact on other people. Decisions, choices, actions, etc. And it's time for you to be okay with making choices that are from the gut and trusting in your divine guidance. Like, the divine has not led you astray. And when you come back to what you've been praying for, when you come back to what you've been really needing on a soul level, and what you've been wanting for your long term, this is where Sagittarius can really propel you and put you forward towards that. And then we quickly move into Capricorn season as we enter into 1/1, the new year. So I'll do a separate reading for the 1/1 energy that we'll be experiencing, and that's going to be, Capricorn is all about getting shit done, getting to work, seeing those goals and ambitions and intentions. What are you going to need to do? Really start thinking about the year ahead and your action plans and all of that. So I'm going to do a reading for that energy, what we might be needing, what spirit is asking us for. And I'm really just wishing you so much love on this journey. Let's see, was there anything else? No, I think that's really all that was coming through. There was a song before that was coming through, but now I can't think of it. So if I think about it, I'll put it in the description box. Yeah, really just want to encourage you guys to just realize where you're being divinely led. It's very easy to get caught up in the 3D world, but that's not the path that you have been on. It's not the path that feels most purposeful to you. And quite frankly, your decisions from here will be shaping the rest of the year and the energy that comes from this. This is really 1/1, it's that energy of decisions. This is the co-creation and co-collaboration with the universe, where you kind of set the stage, where you kind of set the intention and set the motion. So make sure that you don't have conflicting intentions, because that's going to set you up for a very conflicting upcoming energy as you walk into the new year. If you have your intentions on one thing and then your actions go to another, or if you're praying for one thing and then the divine opens doors for you and you're like, actually, I'm gonna go check out this window. Those things are going to shape the energy. And I can tell you that firsthand, because I was in that space last year, and right now we have even more planetary components that are sort of it's a different energy, but same but different, you know what I mean? So heed my warning, my friends. This is a time for you to really get intentional and do it for your truth. Do it for your spirit. Do it for what feels really purposeful for you. And I am excited to read the cards for you through the portals in the upcoming year. And just know that whatever you have to do to honor, respect your journey, I am really excited to back you up on that and, spiritually support you through that. You know, call back your energy. Remember that, you might be making choices that directly impact other people. Make sure that that's for good and not, the other way around. You know very well that other people's choices could impact you. You are somebody who is learning how to pull back their energy when that happens. And now it's time to just make choices with what you pulled back, with what you've learned, with what you have, experienced, and launch that arrow for this new year. I'm sending you lots of loving, and I will talk to you very soon. Okay, I was wrong. I have one last thing. There's a lot of you who, you understand, the impact of this upcoming chapter 1 and what this 1-1 represents. And, it really gives this energy of cycle completion, and you're very much aware that not everyone is going to meet you on that level or be on that same wavelength. And it kind of seems like you understand that the choices of everyone around you during this time are going to impact you and your future and your life, but that doesn't mean that needs to completely shape you or shake you. 333. Yeah, I was seeing a lot of 333s, and there's this lesson about being true to you and true to your heart and being true to what's right for yourself and what feels good, spiritually and intuitively. And that's who you are. That's really who you are at your core. You have put your spirit first. So with that being said, you can't deny the obvious. There was this big emphasis around the Fool card that was coming through around 12/12. You understand what the Fool, this is that High Priestess. This is giving that 10, oh, there it is again, 12/12. Wow, that is incredible. Okay, interesting. So, it's really giving cycle breaker, the cycle is broken kind of energy. And you understood that what you're walking into is a new beginning, and more symbols for that it is a fresh start. But you're also not one to be played for a fool. You're not going to be played for a fool. You're not going to be made a fool of. And you're also not going to pretend to be foolish. You might be in a new beginning, you might have a fresh start, but like I said before, your history is important. The things that you've learned, the things that you've experienced, the things that you've had to go through, the things that you've lost, the things that you've overcome are all real. That all really happened. That was all extremely significant in what made you who you are. And even though you're about to be going into this fresh new journey of self and understanding who you are, you might be going through an ego death, realizing that you're stepping into a completely new version of yourself as you go into this new year. But at the end of the day, you are very much okay with the fact that you don't even know what some of those changes are going to require you to do or what they're going to require you to look like. And you've been through enough. Those things really happen. They made you who you are. And, that's what I was going to say. Those things really happened. They made you who you are. Yes. And even though you're stepping into a new version of self, those things are still part of you, your wiring, your heart, your journey. And it's not to sit there and say that those things are going to stay with you as your triggers, as your wounds, but it's your history. It is your past. And those of you who are at your 10/10 cycle broken energy, you're not afraid about that. You're not afraid to address those things, just like you weren't afraid to take those cycles head on either. You understand that your history is what makes you empowered, because you were able to accomplish so much in spite of what's happened to you, in spite of what you have faced and had to overcome. And there's this part of you that realizes that, like, when you address these things head on, you get to feel that sense of accomplishment of saying, I just overcame that. I went through this in the past. I went through it again, and it was completely different. I changed the whole course of action. My choices shaped my entire reality in a new way. The decision I made, I made it because I knew I could do things differently. Like, that is a really powerful space to come from. And you understand that, like, this version of self, there is, like, this kind of, like, fogginess around, like, what is this really going to look like for me, and how is this actually going to take shape and manifest? Give it up to God. That's where I say just give it up to God, because you planted the seeds, you have been on your knees in prayer, you have been following a divinely led path, and I don't even need to say this to some of you that, like, your path, it's been a purposeful one, and that's not going to change now. So, you're really going to see, like I said, you're going to now see what choices other people make and how that affects your garden, and you're going to see what becomes fruitful for yourself, what seeds you've planted are going to take shape, and what fills the space that you've created in your life for blessings. And let that be very much known that space that you made and created for this 12/12 expansion was for blessings, was for love, was for beauty, was for joy, was for bliss, was for purpose, and nothing else, literally nothing else will do, because that's just not what your soul had in plan for you and in store for you. And some of you have already kind of experienced, like, miracle after miracle, and you're kind of wondering, okay, like, can I ask for more? Like, yes, you can ask, like, more please. You can ask for things to just, like, keep going really well. This energy of, like, okay, but what if it all works out? Expect that. Be in that place of expectancy, of things being beautiful, of things being fruitful, and things going well. But also understanding that you, 11:11, that doesn't make you a fool. You're not going to sit here and pretend to be a fool. You're definitely not going to be made a fool of. Someone being able to understand that, like, miracles and beautiful things can happen doesn't make them naive. What makes that person naive is if they keep trying to expect those beautiful, prosperous, fruitful things, but they don't actually address the things that are needing to be tended to, and don't actually, plant the seeds, and try to go through things the hard way. You can choose to do that. You'll always have free will. The choice will always be yours. But the divine doesn't want you to take the hard way. The divine doesn't want you to have to go through experiences and learn more lessons. And the divine is not putting you in a position of having to go through things that are familiar just to punish you and put you through the same cycles, but to give you an opportunity to realize that you are stepping into a new chapter, a new version of self. And this version of self is going to do things differently. This version of self is actually going to let themselves have what they always prayed for, and have 3 zeros again. Wow, it's actually going to let themselves have that new beginning. It's actually going to let themselves do the things they prayed for, and have the things that they had been calling in, the things that they're feeling soul aligned with. But remember, to really know how to call that in and to be able to manifest what your soul is aligned with, you have to be living in your truth. So make sure you're carving out space and time to be really truthful with yourself. Make sure you're carving out space and time to meditate on what's really right for you and where your soul is feeling aligned and called. And this is, again, not just the tangible 3D, like, everyday, like, wish upon a star things that you want to wish for. This is deeper than that. This is where that high priestess, beautiful, divine, feminine energy is asking to come in and do its beautiful healing on you and show you that this is deeper than that. Like, this is about what your soul is longing for, and it's not going to be about physical, tangible goods. This is about the trajectory of your next soul's journey as you go through 1-1. And with that being said, friends, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm sending you so much love in, and I will talk to you soon.